Welcome back to the Guna Fanzine Arsenal Women podcast. We've got two parts to come in one episode this week as we build up to the UEFA Women's Champions League final between Arsenal and Barcelona. I'm alongside Izzy and Lumi. Daisy's out in Lisbon acclimatizing and hopefully enjoying herself in the sunshine. And then in the second half, I'll be joined by a Spanish commentator who's actually going to be in the press box. And if there's anything we all love, it's Spanish commentary. I don't know if he can provide any for us on the podcast, but Gerard Bellera is going to be joining me for the second half to give us the Barcelona lowdown. Firstly, Lumi, you've seen a bit of Barcelona this season, haven't you? I guess what interests me is, when we saw them against Chelsea, I think there was a lot of criticism of Chelsea, and rightly so. And I think a lot of Barcelona fans turned around and said, there doesn't seem to be this sort of coverage of actually praising how good Barcelona have been this season. Because Arsenal, there's only one way of putting it. Arsenal go into this game, don't they, as massive underdogs.
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, I went to watch Barcelona twice this season. One of the times was with my mom, and they just somehow always managed to score with like 7-0, like big goal difference. And yeah, I would say we did watch the Chelsea game in a pub before our Lyon game. I would say we were more only watching when Barcelona scored than really during the game, but yeah, it's gonna be a massive game. I'm excited flying out tomorrow, so we'll see how it's gonna be.
Yeah, we've got the whole Gooner team apart from Leith over there. Leith just couldn't get it sorted in the end. He's gone to every Arsenal men's game this season and wanted to get back for Southampton on the Sunday, and also the prices, as we know, an absolute nightmare. Izzy, you're going from Edinburgh, aren't you? Obviously, you're up in that part of the country in terms of the northeast of England, so that's worked out well for you. How are you feeling a couple of days out?
I mean, we've just been talking about it, but for the podcast listeners, I've been sort of reminded on Twitter that City have beat Barcelona this season, and that's given me a little bit of confidence, very quiet confidence of the fact that it can be done, which has excited me a bit more because I think whenever any of my friends have asked me, "Oh, are you going to go and win it?" I'm like, "Oh, well, big underdogs," but I do think it's super exciting being an underdog because you get the support from most of the rest of the world watching because everyone likes an underdog, and a lot of people don't like to see these kind of repeat winners year on year. And also, I think we've got absolutely nothing to lose, which is an exciting prospect going into a game because we can just throw everything at it, try our best, and if it's a bad result, then that's what everyone expected anyway. But if it goes well by throwing everything at it, then how incredible is that? So I think it's a really exciting opportunity to see how Arsenal perform on the biggest stage, basically.
Yeah, I would say it's only 90 minutes, so anything could happen. It's not in two legs, so we'll see who's the better team on that day. And as what happened with City, like it could be either of the teams. So we are underdogs, but we have, I would say, maybe not an equal chance, but I would say it's 50-60. So it doesn't really work that way, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, that was going to be my question in terms of would you rather play Barcelona over two legs or 90 minutes? Because Arsenal's success in the Champions League has come from bad first legs and pulling off these incredible second leg comebacks. Now, if you're 4-0 down to Barcelona at half time, for example, the game is going to be over. But in 90 minutes, I feel like when you look at what Barcelona did to Chelsea in terms of how ruthless they were across both legs. They just took the first leg away from them, and then the same they just walked over them in the second leg. Does 90 minutes, that shorter period of time, the fact that if you can have a really good first half, you can make it nervy. There's obviously the possibility of extra time and penalties, which I think a lot of Arsenal fans would very much take at this stage. Would you rather play Barcelona on this stage, in 90 minutes, rather than, let's say you lost 2-0 in Spain and then had to come back and overturn it?
I think I imagine that I know we've sort of talked a lot about how Arsenal are comeback queens, but I do think the fact that it's a neutral ground, neutral country, I think it's all kind of playing into the fact that it really is a 90 minutes where anything can happen, as Lumi said. And I think that that is a really exciting prospect. We've seen loads and loads of football finals between us, men's, women's, everything, where big upsets can happen. And that is something that I'm looking forward to seeing if Arsenal are able to pull off. I think as long as the girls don't let the occasion kind of get in their heads too much. I feel like keeping a normal routine and keeping it as it would just be a regular match at the Emirates. I'm sure there'll be thousands of Gooners out there. I think all those things will play into whether Arsenal can be the better team on the day. But we've seen Barcelona be beaten. We saw them be beat by Real Madrid. I know they put out slightly different starting 11 to what they had a couple of weeks before, but Chelsea have beaten them, City have beaten them. There's no reason why we can't, and so I think that's a good attitude, and I hope that's the kind of confidence that the staff at Arsenal and the fans and everyone can give to the players, because that will be really important.
Yeah, and it's exploiting
Yeah.
Barcelona's confidence, isn't it, as well, Lumi? Because, we know where they are as a club in the last few seasons. They win everything. They're not used to losing matches. And almost the scenes when they did lose to Real Madrid, there was a lot of sort of gesticulation between the players and almost a real inquest into that result, because Real Madrid made a lot of changes as well. That was in between the two Arsenal legs, and it was a complete shock result. It poured down with rain, and it was a remarkable win for Real Madrid. But look, Barcelona, I think, have already got they've got their route planned for their trophy presentation. They're going to the City Hall to do it. All of that stuff's been planned probably for months in advance, hasn't it? If you're an Arsenal fan, you've probably not even thought about the possibility of how you're going to celebrate this. And that surely is going to play into Arsenal's hands when we talk about, the occasion and the nerves for Arsenal's players. When you are the underdogs, is that any less, do you think? And how do Arsenal harness that on Saturday?
Well, I would say for the past 2 years at least, it hasn't been easy for Barcelona to win the Champions League. Like, for example, last year they played against Lyon and they only scored two goals quite late on. So it wasn't an easy occasion for them. Same thing 2 years ago when they played against Wolfsburg. They were 2 goals down. They did manage to win, but they were 2 goals down, yeah, still won. But it's never say never. I would say, like, yes, we are the underdogs, but it's just the 90 minutes, and anything could happen. So I would say we go and we have a good chance on winning it, because yeah, Real Madrid did it this season, Man City did it this season. Why can't we? Because we already bet, like, we won against Man City and we won against Real Madrid. So I would say we can win against Barcelona as well.
Yeah, there's got to be hope, hasn't there? And I was on the Guardian Women's Football podcast yesterday, and one thing we had a chat about was the midfield battle. I think I saw a stat the other day that Barcelona's midfield have scored 100 goals between them this season, and Patri, Aitana, and Alexia Putellas, which is just absolutely insane. That's not your front three; that's the three players behind them. Aitana and Alexia, there's a lot of debate about sort of who's had the better season, and to have both of them in one team, and there's just goals all over that pitch. And, everybody in that team can chip in and score. I watched the highlights of their win over Bilbao, and the final goal, Bilbao have all 11 players basically in the penalty area, and they're still able to crack off a shot, and it finds the top corner. And you just wonder how they're able to do it. The key, Izzy, surely is Arsenal tightening up their defence and coming into it with that sort of defensive game plan, because what we've seen in recent weeks, as we keep saying, if you do that against Barcelona, you're going to be murdered, basically. Arsenal know that, and they're going to have to be so much better defensively.
Yeah, and I think that, anyone at Barcelona that's watched the last few Arsenal games will be kind of licking their lips, because it was that you could just get through that defence so easily, even against Manchester United, where everyone was celebrating big win and the season second place. It was 4-3. Like, they still scored 3 goals, and we were lucky to not concede another one. I think it was just, and then against Brighton and Aston Villa, it's just been quite a bad performance defensively for those kind of 3 matches. I know people will point at Manu Zinsberger as well, because she was in goal for those 3 games. I thought she did quite well against Manchester United personally, and we obviously don't know until the weekend which goalkeeper we're going to be able to have on Saturday. But it is also down to the back line. It just, if you don't stick with those Barcelona players, they have got so much pace and so much experience and flair and skill to be able to get round and get these shots off. So you almost need to stop them before they're even in an area where they are able to get a shot off, because it's just too dangerous, as we've seen time and time again with these huge score lines, and then 4-2, 4-1, 4-1 over Chelsea in both legs. And it's just like, that Chelsea team have been unbeaten in domestic football this season. and they got taken apart by Barcelona like that. So we need to make sure that that back line is incredibly solid, and hopefully that work's been done. We've had a bit of time between the end of the season and now. It looks like the players have kind of been on had a couple bit of a break, and hopefully they're back to focus and that those defensive mistakes won't happen, because I think once Barcelona get a couple of goals in, they feel like they're unstoppable, and that's what we've got to stop before that happens.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting when Arsenal put out their training pictures yesterday. They didn't include any of the goalkeeping group, and without wanting to read into that, I guess it's a case of keeping Barcelona guessing for as long as they can. I'd be sure. But the good news for any Arsenal fans who are worried is that Daphne van Domselaar is in the Netherlands squad for the upcoming international break at the end of the month, and then going into June as well, which can only be, a good sign. I think it was 5 to 6 weeks was the initial prognosis, and yeah, should all be okay on that front, but no concrete information at the moment. Lumi, what do Arsenal change, if anything? Because it feels like Renee Slagers knows her best team. We've sort of spent the last few weeks going, that team that played against Lyon, with Van Domselaar coming in, is probably the team that you would pick for a Champions League final. But with Barca's midfield that good, do you bring in a Valti or a Cooney Cross? Do you, because we've not rotated a lot, we've not changed formation a lot this season under René Slagers, and understandably so. Is it a risk to do so for a final, or do you have to adapt when you're playing Barcelona?
I would love to see us adapt, but I don't think we're gonna do that many changes. I would love to see Daphne there as well. Like, I would say she's been on fire every time she's been playing this season, and I can tell that the defense really trusts her, and they really know how to link up. But I don't think there are gonna be changes. I feel like it's the Dutch way of doing things. It's the same with Sarina pretty much. So would love to see some little changes so that we can surprise Barcelona in one way or another. I hope Mariona is going to have some little details for the team how to surprise Barcelona, and yeah, go from there on. But honestly, I don't think there are going to be many changes.
Yeah, interesting, because I feel like with 2 weeks, I know they haven't spent all of it on the training ground, but Arsenal have had such a long window between that United game and the final. Izzy, we're up close with Renee in her press conferences interviewing her. I don't know why, but I just get the feeling she's going to have a few tricks up her sleeve, and whether that's from the start or later on into the game, there's going to be something that she comes up with. I think that'll take us off guard, and hopefully Barcelona too.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There's sort of something about her that's a bit mysterious almost. She doesn't always reveal too much in her press conference. Sometimes you'll catch her off guard, but she's quite good at kind of giving the media trained answer and not giving away anything ahead of a game about formations or about who's going to play. She'll just say if someone's fit or not, but that doesn't really give a lot away. So I think it will be really interesting to see if maybe they've been working on something different. We obviously don't want to change too much because we saw that in the Aston Villa game, and that did not work in the slightest, sort of changing everything a lot. But I think, I mean, I love Kyra Cooney Cross. I'd love to see her getting some minutes. I think she's great in the middle. She's a bit like Leah Valti, ball sticks to the feet, able to get out of those tight spaces. But then we've also seen Kim Little, who's played most of the matches this season, and she's incredibly good at that as well. And Renee said it to us before, I have difficulty in midfield because there's too many people, which is a good problem to have. But yeah, I mean, we'd hope that nothing happens between now and then with injuries, and that they've been training in the formation that they're going to then play in, and they're all comfortable and everyone knows their place and their job. I'm a bit worried about Mariona because I worry that with the Real Madrid game, obviously she did play in a bit of a wider position, but they've played against her so many times they'd worked her out, and I worry that maybe Barcelona, because they know her so well, might be able to isolate her out of the game, and that would be a real problem. But I hope not. I hope she's able to find a way around them.
If you were to pick a team, Lumi, I don't think Cooney Cross would be risked from the start in a final. I think a few years down the line, she absolutely would be, and I really hope she is, because we all see the talents that's there. But do you bring in Leah Valti alongside Kim Little and have Mariona in front? Because you look at that Barcelona midfield three, as I say, when Arsenal have gone into games with Little and Mariona, it's been really effective. Little's been able to get forward. Mariona's able to pull the strings. She's crucial wherever you play her. When you put her in midfield, you then miss her in attacking midfield. When you put her on the wing, you miss her somewhere else. She is that important. You'd love to have two or three of her. But is Mariona and Little in the pivot with Marnham in the 10? Is that enough against this Barcelona midfield, or are Arsenal going to have to change something from the outset?
That's a very good question. I sadly I'm not the best one with the formations. I'm there usually as a fan to watch football, but I would say it's been working, but it's gonna be tough on Saturday, and I don't know if it's gonna be enough. I feel like Leah Valti hasn't been at her best this season, so I don't know if we would put her as a starting like player on Saturday, but it could be the little surprise that we would need now on Saturday, and she will be on fire, and yeah, then I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I feel like I'm compensating for one surprise in the lineup. Like, I don't think we're going to see a Stina Blackstenia start or something crazy like that. You know, there's been probably a temptation for Wubben instead of Catley, but Catley's done so well under Renee, and you know, I think there are battles everywhere over the pitch. Sometimes you look at a team and, you know, so when you play Liverpool, you identify Smith, don't you? Or other teams as one key player. With Barcelona, everywhere in the pitch is a key battle. You know, there, if you switch off for 1 minute, you're going to get punished. And when you read across that team, you read into the squad depth as well, Izzy. You know, if Arsenal do a really good job of holding Barca for 45 minutes an hour, the players they can bring on maybe compared to what Arsenal can. Not to say Arsenal don't have a really good squad and have options on the bench, but Barcelona just have so many different methods of winning games, and they've been here before and won them.
Yeah, I think so, and I think their experience will be key for them on Saturday. And they have, as you said, all these players who have been in these finals before. They've won things in Spain as well, so they've had lots of chances to be in these high pressure matches. Whereas Arsenal this season really haven't. This is our only final. This is the first we got. We knew we weren't going to win the league from kind of the middle of the season onwards. So I think that kind of experience, and probably they'll be a bit calmer going into it. And as you said, bringing those players off the bench. I remember watching the second leg against Chelsea, and the subs they were bringing on. I just couldn't believe it, and how much impact they were then able to have, sort of scoring goals and stuff. It's just ridiculous. And I do think Arsenal players are really capable of being those impact subs, but it's whether it's enough against Barcelona if we're already a goal down or something, or if we're trying to hold it for longer. I think it will just be about Renee making the right decisions on the day, and we know she's very good at learning from her mistakes. If we have a bad game, she'll then make the changes for the next one, which is really really nice to see. It's quite a fresh approach, but I think she needs to get it right from the off. We have to go out there, and from minute one it has to be right, because otherwise against this side there isn't really room for error.
How do you reflect on Arsenal's whole journey to this final, Lumi? We had the mini tournament. We were out in Gothenburg. Arsenal lost 1-0 to Häcken. At one point, there was genuine concern that Arsenal weren't even going to reach the group stage. They are the first team to have won all 14 games coming from qualifying, which just seems incredible to go all the way and get to a final. You know, Mariona's coming in. I don't think she'll have ever played in a qualifying match, you know, for Barcelona in the last few years she was there, and suddenly she's playing against Rangers, you know, at Meadow Park on a warm sort of summer evening. It was a complete change, but what a run it's been to the final. You know, you think of the highs and the lows. How would you reflect on it? Because you must have been to most of the games, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been to, I would say most of them. Missed only a few of them of the away games, the Bayern one and the one in Turin, was it? The one
Hmm.
in Italy?
Yeah,
No.
Biella,
Yeah, yeah, that one.
random.
Yeah, so I would say it was and a surprise for quite many people, I can tell. So yeah, but it was a roller coaster, I would say. Like it started off so early, like players barely came back from the Olympic Games, and then we already went to Gothenburg and played in a mini tournament. And yeah, it's been a long season, that's for sure. And I would say I never thought when we went out to Gothenburg and lost the game there, then we would be in the final this year. I mean, I'm more than happy, but it sounds like such an Arsenal thing to do. But yeah, we made it, like long journey, but anything is possible. So here we are.
Yeah, I think the Lyon game and the Real Madrid second leg, it's like whatever happens in the final, we are always going to look back on that exactly the same. I think every season when Arsenal are in the Champions League, I think our minimum expectation should be the semi-finals. You're going to take on a quality team as Arsenal did in the semi-finals. You hope you avoid Barcelona, but you know to win the Champions League, more than likely you're going to have to play Barcelona at some point. And I think, nobody really cared when they were out partying after Lyon. And I think even this week, there's probably people who are sitting there going, you know what, whatever happens, happens. Barcelona are that good. And I don't know, Izzy, have Arsenal overachieved just to be where they are? Rennie is coming in October, the bad start to the season. Her first game was against Valerenga after Arsenal had lost the first of their group games. They ended up winning the group, beating Bayern Munich. And then they've also lost a lot of games on this Champions League run as well. They don't make it easy for themselves at all. It's just a remarkable journey, I think, this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think on paper, if you look at the domestic football, we've definitely overachieved in the Champions League because knocked out in both cups and not able to win the league, and then to get to this final with arguably much more difficult opponents throughout the competition, I think it's just, but it is a real achievement, and it's a testament to the kind of grit and determination that we have in this side and in the management and the staff. I think we've had some amazing comebacks. As Lumi said, it's been like a proper roller coaster, lots of ups and downs, but we've managed to get there and get through that all and make it to the final in Lisbon. And I think it's just one more game. You just never know what's going to happen. It's super exciting. I saw something on Twitter saying that if we win the Champions League, that Jonas Eidevall might get a medal because he took us through that small tournament and some of the group games. And that's how long it's been that we've been in this competition. It feels like Jonas's era was an age ago, but it actually was this season, and we've been through so much as a club, as a team. And I think if there's one woman to do it, it'll be Renée Slegers. It will be similar to what Lumi said. It was such an Arsenal thing to do, to kind of change manager, lose all these games, not win anything domestically, and then accidentally win the Champions League. So I think it's very exciting. I just can't wait to be out there and amongst everyone and soaking up the atmosphere, because I think it's about appreciating that getting to a final in itself is a huge achievement, and just enjoying it, whatever happens.
Yeah, completely agree. And in an absolutely beautiful city that I wanted to go to for a while. Really, really looking forward to it. Even if the journey for all of us and the hits for our bank balance probably aren't great, but look, we're in Lisbon for a Champions League final, as you say. It's just going to be an incredible trip. Yeah, almost what you're saying there. Arsenal need to go 2-0 down probably to have the best chance of winning. It's like they have to do it the hard way. But both of you, look, give our listeners, our viewers, encouragement that Arsenal can win the Champions League. I'll start with you, Lumi.
Oh wow. I mean, we've done so many comebacks this season that even if we were 2-0 down at the halftime, anything could happen. Like, for example, the West Ham game at Meadow Park, like anything could happen. So I would say it's just 90 minutes. Like, you never know. We're gonna go there. We went to Lyon already, and I honestly I thought that that's it. Like that we wouldn't make it to the final. So I don't know anything what to expect from the team. Like anything could happen. So yeah, that's my little message.
Yeah, I would say sort of similar. I just think look at the quality in the team, how many kind of international captains we have in that team who've all been in these big fixtures, and hopefully they can bring some experience, calm down the side. We've got some amazing players, and so have Barcelona, but they all kind of know each other from international football. They've all played together. So I do think that like everyone on that pitch is good enough to win the Champions League final, and that means Arsenal can do it. I think if we scored early, or if we held them off for long enough, we shake their confidence. I do feel like it's completely doable. 90 minutes. I'm really looking forward to it. And I just hope everyone brings the noise and makes it as an unforgettable day.
And before I forget, one big question that we've been debating for the last few weeks. Now, I don't know how smart I'm going to be in the press box. I need to sort of work that out. Certainly the press conference, I'll be turning up in shorts. But Izzy, will Renée Slegers stick with the club tracksuit, one of the team, down to earth, humble as we all know she is, or is she going to get suited and booted for Lisbon? And it's going to be like 28 degrees as well. Keep that in mind.
I mean, I've been saying it to a few people that will listen, certainly to you, Freddie, and to Jamie, that just hoping all the way through, if we make it to the final, she should wear a suit. But then I've had this kind of other thought in my head, maybe let's not change it and let's just keep it the same as it has been the whole way through to not disrupt that normality. So we'll see. I'm not going to put any money on it, but I don't know. I don't know what I want to see now at this point. I'm back and forth, but yeah, hopefully she's there to kind of
She
lead the girls.
she already wore the suit for the awards thing after the WSL finish, so maybe that was like a little like, let's show you guys that I can wear a suit before I do it for real. So we'll see how it's gonna be on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on a team night out for the cricket, and a member of the media team turned up in the club tracksuit, and let me tell you, it's not probably the greatest decision. So I think for an awards night, yeah, it was nice to see that she has got that in the locker. But yeah, I feel like we'll get Susie down by the tunnel when they do the pitch walk and go, look, this is the one thing you've got to look out for. Does she go for the suit? You know, when they got off the coach. Both of you, thanks so much for your time, and I'll see you both over the course of the weekend in Lisbon. Safe travels.
Yeah, see you out there.
You too.
And here is Gerard Bellera, who I'll be speaking to about Barcelona. Gerard, thanks so much for joining me. I guess firstly, just tell me about what you do related to Barcelona and who you commentate for.
I'm a commentator in a radio from Barcelona, from Catalonia, the most listened, the most listened radio here in Catalonia, in Barcelona. It's RAC U. Maybe for us it's RAC One, RAC One, and yeah, I have different works because I don't only I have there is men's team also and also women's team in Barcelona, and I also have work a lot with men's team, but for the women's team we like 2 or 3 years ago we started to do the Champions League games, only the Champions League games in the radio. We started and we also travel. We also used to travel to the finals. I have not been in Gothenburg. I have not been in the first final in Budapest, but from Turin, the last 4 finals, including this one in Lisbon, I stay there and I will stay in Lisbon. So we just explain the game in the radio and commentator doing some things with other colleagues like there is a girl that is the, how do you say, narrador,
Summarizer. Yeah,
the summarizer, and then some tactical analyst and something like that. But my function is like more or less like do the interviews with the players after the match, and especially stay very focused about what happened in the bench with the coach and with the players, especially who are in the pitch. So that's more or less what I used to do in Champions League games, Champions League from women games, but I have also more more funciones, more things that I used to do in the radio. It's not only that. It's like I used to every Friday and every Saturday did a program that I used to like, how do you say, presentator? It's correct.
Yeah, present.
So I used to present on Friday and on Saturday. So I have more works, but that's one of many works that I have.
Yeah, I think everyone in England loves Spanish and sort of South American commentary. So when Mariona scored against Leon, I think the DAZN Spanish commentary was just incredible. The passion, I think everyone loves it.
Yeah, it's different.
So what is it about this Barcelona team, but Barcelona's history as well in women's football, that makes them so good and that makes them so tough for Arsenal to play against this weekend?
Yeah, I think that maybe the difference was it's like 6 or 7 years ago. I think the team was very good because was very good with the ball, especially with technical players, especially with this way of playing football that Barca has, but in all of these teams, and of course in the men's teams, but also in the women's teams. But it was still a very weak team without the ball. I think you can watch. I don't know, the final against Lyon 2019, in the first final in Budapest, without the ball. Also the mentality, uh, I think that the staff, the players, the club realize in this final that in 2019, they realize that they need to improve, starting with their training routines, but also with the mentality of the players. There was a good team. There are players that now are the best in the world that are playing in this team, but it was not enough. It was not enough, I think. So that was the main difference from this team that, like, 6, 7, 8 years ago from now. I think it is the most important thing, and there is also another key improvements. I think that especially signings, especially the signings. Every summer, I think that we're so good. Every summer, I think that we're so good. There is a good team every summer, every year, every season. Also, there is a young players from the youth academy that has grow up. The goal scorer of this Champions League, the player that scored more goals in this Champions League, Claudia Pina, is a player who is like, I don't know, 5 years ago or 6 years ago, she's playing in the youth academy, and she's going along to Sevilla to improve, and now is one of the best players in this Champions League. So I think that there is a combination of everything, but the main thing, I think, it was it's not like the signing of one player or the departure of another player. No, I think it's something about the club. It's like improve every area, improve the mentality, improve the Barca was not so physical like 6, 7 years ago. I think that and when you spoke with the players, they tell you that the others, their opponents are very fast and very strong, and they cannot defend that. And with the ball, no problem. Move the ball quickly, but especially I think that this was the difference, and the process from 2018 or 2019, from right now, when the Barca are going to play his fourth final his five final in the last 6 years, which is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So when Pere Romeo comes in, Jonathan Geraldes goes to Washington Spirit. Is that an easy job for a new manager to come in with this squad of players, and sort of what has he changed from recent seasons?
Yeah, it was not easy. it was not easy. Pero Romeo tried something that I think Giraldo did it sometimes, but it doesn't work. Try to play with Kira Walsh, Patrick Jarro, Aitana, and Alexia in the midfield, like the 4 players in the same starting lineup. That doesn't work, especially because there was a game against Manchester City in the first game of this Champions League that was very bad for Barca. Barca lost 2-0. And I think that from this point, Romeo has changed to a starting lineup which, I don't know, more common from recent years. Like Aitana and Alexia in the midfield, and behind Patrick Jarro. I think this is one of the changes from the other team, because Alexia was not fit to play the last 2 years and has to play Patri up front again next to Aitana, and Kira in the defensive midfield. I think that that works well, but when you have Alexia and Aitana in the midfield, you have I think a lot of options to create chances. And maybe with Patri and Kira, the team was more stable. They have more stability, maybe a little bit more defense aptitude. So I think that both combinations are good. But what try to do Per Romeo in the first games of the season doesn't work. They try to change a little bit also the left back and the right back, because last year Giraldo was try to he chose Rolfo in the left back, and especially Bronze in the right back. Bronze or Ona, now it's Ona 100% in the right back, and then Rolfo in the left back. Brooks, sorry, in the left back. But I think that when you arrive on a team that won everything, you don't have to change so much. So that's what I think that Per Romeo did it. Although there was this change that I commend you that didn't work well in the first game, in the first months of the season.
So how are Arsenal viewed then in Spain? I spoke to you before and you said Barca fans didn't want Leon, they wanted Arsenal, and Arsenal did incredibly well to beat Leon. But how confident do Barcelona feel about taking on Arsenal? Because they've not played them lots, in the last few years.
Yeah, that's curious. People are very confident, but not because the opponent is Arsenal. It's because this Barca itself. So how can you not trust a team that score 8 goals against English champions, against Chelsea? So how can you not trust a team that won the last 2 Champions League, that won the last 3 of the last 4 Champions League finals? So you have to trust them. I know it's maybe if people, you can say, oh, you are disrespectful about Arsenal. No, it's not about Arsenal. It's about our team. It's about our Barca. It's about this team that only lost 3 times this season. And people said, "Oh, it's too much. It's too much for this Barca." So I think that people are very confident. I think that if you ask to a fan if there is if they can trust and bet to this Barca, they will say yes for sure. 100. Maybe you can try to find one person in a 1,000 people of 1,000 bunch of Barca fans that maybe it was not optimistic, but the rest of the people it was so confident. I have to say that, of course, people here respect a little bit more Lyon, but because it's Lyon and 8-time champions, it's a team that has the experience. It's a team that has good players, but Arsenal also have. But I have to say that because it's a reality that people here prefers to face Arsenal than to face Lyon. But all the respect for Arsenal, I think. And I don't know. I think they're a group of fans that they know that it won't be easy. That it won't be easy. It's a final, and it could be really tough because it's a final 90 minutes, and you never know what can happen.
Yeah. And we were just talking on the podcast about the fact that Barcelona have lost to Real Madrid and Manchester City, and Arsenal have beaten both of those teams this season. So do you think the best way for Arsenal to set up is to sort of learn from Man City and Madrid as well in what they did well against Barcelona?
Yeah, maybe. Arsenal can learn these games that you can make mistakes against Barca. You can make mistakes because if you make mistakes and you allow Barca maybe to score one goal or two goals in the first 30 minutes of the game. Here in Barcelona, it's like game over. I know Arsenal. In some occasions this season, they could remontar like remontada, la remontada.
We all know remontada. We all know that.
Remontada also here. You know what I'm talking about because in the Champions League, in the men's Champions League, in Madrid there are a lot of people talking about remontada, but I know if Barca scores first, it's difficult to overtake that for Arsenal, but for every team in the world. And of course, you can learn about these games, but against Madrid, if there had been VAR technology, Barca, I think that would have won because they scored the second goal, the 2-1. In a correct position, but I don't know. The referee said that it was offside, so it was not offside. And I think Madrid, of course, was a benefit of this situation. And against City, it was the first part of the season. Barca was, I think, in a pre-season because Pedro Romeu has made some changes, then go back to the more similar starting lineup to Giraldez, and it was the first part of the season. The players was not was where they don't or they are not fit in the first part of the season. Olympics was tough for some players. And but of course you have to learn about these games, and I'm very curious about Arsenal. How they play, because you can play deep or you can play aggressive, and you don't know what is the best solution to play with Barca. It's difficult to say one of these tactics, because with Barca it will be if you play deep, you have the advantage that you can go at counter attacks and especially with the Arsenal fast players, Kelly or something like that. You can damage Barca, but also there will be 2-3 counter attacks. There not will be a lot of counter attacks. You have to be so clinical, and if you play aggressive, I think that Arsenal can do it. They can play aggressive, but you have to know that Arsenal can take a risk that maybe, I don't know, if Barca knows how to move the ball quickly, you have to know that you can leave a lot of space in defense, in your defense. So that's curious, and I'm curious what Arsenal are we gonna do this Saturday in Lisbon.
Yeah, you've answered a lot of my questions there, and I think that's the agreement for Arsenal fans is, you're going to have to play defensive. You can't play the style you usually play, but Arsenal have had 2 weeks after the end of their league season, so they've had a lot of time on the training ground to maybe try something and see if they can come up with any surprises. So you mentioned
because I want to know Arsenal play deep in some games this season or not? Because I think that maybe they don't used to do it, and if you don't used to play deep and to defend like that, like can do Lyon, for example, in Bilbao final, I don't know if the best tactic if you don't used to it. I don't know.
That's the difficult thing, is Arsenal have played quite a similar team and a similar style a lot under Rene Slagers. We spoke earlier about probably for the midfield, you might want to bring in Leah Valti and have Valti and Little and then Mariona in front. But because Arsenal haven't really experimented with things like that, it then becomes a risk, when you bring that in for a final. So Arsenal probably do have options in the squad, but I think Barcelona are such a different team to anyone they've played, and obviously Lyon equality, but Lyon set up in the second leg in a way that really suited Arsenal, and Arsenal were able to exploit mistakes. So it's going to be really interesting. And also Barcelona, in terms of scoring goals, Arsenal's defence has been a little bit of a problem recently. You mentioned Claudia Pina, but Eva Payor, comes in from Wolfsburg. It's the most goals I think in a season that a Barcelona player has ever scored. And it just seems like everyone on the pitch can score goals for Barca, doesn't it? I mean, how do Arsenal keep them out?
Yeah, it was really difficult because I think that was the difference between this Barca and Barca from last season. I think that Barca last season was a little bit predictable. That predictable, but not the teams also that are difficult to stop the right part of the pitch with Aitana and Caroline Graham Hansen. But I think last season it was the two reasons that Barca are very, very dangerous. And this season it's different, and I think that Pere Romeo, they create a lot of options in front, because you have Graham Hansen and Aitana, but you can also play directly with Eva Payor, because they have the ability to keep the ball and try to win the behind the other the defense, the opponents, and you can play like that. But also what they do per Romeo is, or what they do is like try to put Claudia Pina in the left side, and with Alexia there is a connection, especially also. So there is a connection with Aitana and Graham. There is a connection with Pina and Alexia. There is also the possibility with Patrick Harrow, his long shot, you can say, long shot. It was very good. It was good. Um, and you have also defense like Paredes, who are very dangerous in free kicks or something like that. So there is a lot of options, and it's difficult to stop by a team. For me, the best thing that can do um, our opponent who face Barca is try. Maybe it could not work, but try to press high and uh, to steal the ball. Because if Barca has the ball, it's very difficult to stop. I think Mariana said that 2 years ago, 2 days ago. Like you know how they play, but even if you know that, you can stop them. So that's what I think. What is the best solution? Manchester City this year, Bayern Munich. I don't know if 1 or 2 years ago they press high and they press well. If you press high and you press well, and Barca has a bad day, you can try to stop all of these chances in front that we are talking about.
Yeah, hard though for Arsenal, because if you press high but defend low, then it's so hard to get everything right all over the pitch. You're just gonna open up certain space for then the midfield. Like I say, there's no obvious weaknesses, but really interesting to get your perspective. You mentioned Mariona. What reception do you think she's going to get from the Barca fans? She is a legend, isn't she?
She's a legend. She's a legend. I think Barca fans will applaud her. I don't know if in a Champions League final if there is a moment for an ovation or something like that. But I think that she's a legend. She people here are very very proud of what Mariona are doing in London, in Arsenal, and I think that that's all about that. And I think that Mariona will be a key on Saturday, because it's one of the players that can keep the ball, keep the possession for Arsenal. That I think that it will be important, because Arsenal maybe has to try to defend with the ball, because if they lose the ball quickly, that will be a problem for sure. And I think that Mariona, it will be an important player, and I think that Barca fans they will applaud her for sure, because I don't know, like the last 10 years was one of the players who play better here in Barcelona.
Yeah. It would be really good to see her, and I'm sure she'll be telling her teammates all about Barcelona and how to exploit them. Gerard, thank you so much for your time, especially in your second language as well. I really appreciate you making the effort. And I'll see you in Lisbon.
Yes, see you in Lisbon, of course. I think that it will be a good final. So much people from Barcelona. I think that there will be also a lot of fans from Arsenal, and good weather. It will be a good final. See you there, mate.